The Say Something podcast is brought to you by amomentwithmorris.com and blackblueprints.com. That's blackblueprints with a Z.com. I'm Jermaine Morris here with the one and only Mr. Barry Accius.
Yes, sir.
As we bring you the newest episode of the Say Something podcast.
Say something, say something, say something.
Where we get together all the time talking about things happening in the light, in the traffic out here in these streets.
In these streets, in these streets, in these streets.
That was a sensitive one right there.
Yeah, it's about to be a real sensitive subject today.
Episode number 56 coming across your temple.
Man.
Just keep climbing the charts.
Let's keep on moving the charts, girl.
Speaking of which, I'd like to shine light of a special dedication to this episode to one individual out of the Motown, out of Detroit as well. A lot of love from Detroit lately.
D-Town.
Out of Detroit. Born in 1940. Okay. Came up, in the Motown era. In fact, you could say was a blueprint for Motown. Singer-songwriter. To his credit, he has over 4,000 songs written for not only himself, but for multiple artists. He wrote music for legends like Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, for Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, Four Tops, Diana Ross and the Supremes. More or less the cornerstone that built what would be Motown alongside with Berry Gordy. His songs have been covered by everybody, from your favorite R&B pop singers to country western and rock groups have taken cuts and sampled his work. Still alive and kicking. He's had a lot going on out in his life. I think he's got a book coming, a new story talking about some of his stuff. He has some drug addiction issues, and but what he has done, the pen game was vicious. Okay. And like I said, for what moved. Not only for the stuff that he specifically wrote, but for the acts that came up under that umbrella of the Motown era, which without this man, you don't get the Michael Jackson that you saw out of that Motown camp. Mm-hmm. You don't get the Prince. You don't get, fast forward, you don't get the Ushers and the Timberlakes and hell, even the Biebers, and you don't get the Destiny's Child in the Britney Spears era. You don't get all that stuff without the blueprint and the cornerstone of what he did coming out of that Motown camp. Still alive and kicking. Just recently had his birthday last month. So show a little love one time to Mr. Smokey Robinson.
All right. Brother still looks like he's 35. Yeah,
Smokey's still out there. He's still singing to your mama and your grandmama.
Man, getting their panties wet.
Yeah, because Smokey still tour. So he's like 78.
Guess that much. 78?
Born in 40.
Damn.
So yeah, he's still out there. Smokey's still out there. Like I said, he wrote for everybody. At that Motown camp, which a lot of people don't give credit for. In part, it's what Bad Boy did coming out of the 90s. Everybody was on everybody's stuff. Man. Songs were given to, like, Smokey would write it. And almost every member on the Motown roster would get a chance to sing it. And whoever did the best job with it, it became their song, the tour. Yeah, so you'll start hearing versions of songs. You're like, oh, I thought so-and-so did that, or such and such. Now it's just, back then, a lot of people who did songs, they did the best version of it. And Motown back then was a camp. So you weren't just an artist. Like, they had classes. Like on posture and choreography, on carrying yourself. Like, and it didn't matter who you were. Like, when you came back from tour, when Diana Ross came back from tour, she was right back in the class next to the person who just got there. Like, Berry Gordy kept a real tight camp. Like how Puffy made him walk to get the cheesecake. Like, that was Berry Gordy kept a real short leash on that roster, and Smokey Robinson had the pen game. And
that was vicious.
That was, his pen game was vicious. So just a little shout out and love. I think we got to show respect and appreciation to these folks out here who laid the way and just show the appreciation for what they did. A lot of times we wait till after people are gone. And we
appreciate folks now.
Yeah,
man.
And then we try to say, oh, they did this and they were amazing. Well, yeah, but you walk right past them while they was here. Or didn't have an appreciation for what they did. But yeah, just a little love out there. 4,000 songs that he's got just credit for, not to mention stuff that he may never put out.
That's crazy. Legendary.
Legendary, dude.
But you don't hear about him as you hear about the Bonos of the world and things of that nature.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. We have so much.
We have legends and icons.
We have legends and icons that are still around, existing and breathing and doing their thing, and they don't get to shine like other counterparts of other races. But hey, this is the way we live in America, right?
Yeah.
One thing before I know we get into it, you heard about the Florida middle school teacher that was this unapologetic white supremacist that had her own podcast, like a podcast like here.
I just heard yesterday. I just saw bits and pieces about that. I believe they let her go.
Yeah, they let her go, but it's like she had, and of course it's, some of our story today in our podcast will be in Florida. Yeah. Right. And she's a white middle school teacher. You see her picture right over here. Our people can't see her, but
in anywhere America, white girl.
Yeah. It's interesting because, and I just want to just because there's so much stuff going on in our schools where we find the root of like mass incarceration will be at the school, right? And the what you think about a kid, an African American kid that don't get it figured out by third grade, they already planning, his next resort and within the next 20 years, right? Yeah. So it's odd to me, or it's just hilarious how folks have got outside of being undercover, because she probably could have got away with this if she kept on just being who she was on the low. Yeah. But folks have gotten so comfortable with like, well, shoot, everyone else is gonna.
I'm taking this to the airwaves.
I'm gonna take this to the airwaves, and no one at the moment where America's going crazy and people are very sensitive about ways you treat the opposite sex, how racism is covered or how it's handled. You will be checked and be thrown into the fire unless you have a bunch of money and a bunch of power to where you can kind of navigate as Mr. 45, aka the Pussy Grabber, has, and some other individuals. Yeah. You better be careful being just a simpleton and just being an average white person that doesn't have any clout to go out your way and say, well, yeah, I don't like these people as well. And it's just hilarious how folks have gotten so comfortable with being able to say, well, I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to speak from my heart. And these are the people that are teaching our kids. Yeah. And that goes into what we're going to talk about deeper. But it's just hilarious how we want to give more power to some of these folks that don't even understand, nor do they have any cultural relevance, and they're in the closet racist. I think that it's crazy how this story is coming out in the moment, in the time of what we're going to be discussing later in our podcast.
Okay, so if you take Florida, and I'm not sure which city this lady was from, but it just came off the Parkland shooting down there in Florida, where the high school kid, 17 killed, and then another group were injured and had ties to white supremacist group. That's what he was on. And the reaction, the kids got together saying we need to get together and ban assault rifles. Yeah. There's no reason why. The only reason why you have an AR is to hunt people. Like there's no game you're going to take down with that type of gun. Yeah. The only thing that is for is for killing human beings. And so that was then met with the nah, son, we ain't getting rid of them guns. Yeah. And so the next step was they was trying to make the campaign of arming teachers, and this is still in Florida, where they're starting to get a little headway on the idea of getting armed teachers on the premises. So if worst case scenario, the teacher can clap back. And so why this story with this woman needs to get the gravity and the weight that is necessary is because she's got these views about her students in a stand your ground state. Yeah. So if you put the gun in the hand of a teacher who already has these preconceived notions about her students in a stand your ground state, all she has to do is say she felt threatened by her 15-year-old English student. Mm. I thought he was reaching for something. Mm. I thought he was going to do something to me. you know, and don't think that if you think that ain't gonna happen, you're gonna wait till all of a sudden Jimmy gets shot in second period math because he seemed overly aggressive for his teacher.
Yeah.
You know, that having these teachers in charge of our kids with these type of views, it can't just be, well, she can think what she can think, or she can do what she wants on her own time. Like I said, especially in that state. Like I said, when they're trying
to, we've seen what's happened to Trayvon Martin.
Exactly, and this is coming off the 6-year now anniversary.
Man, shouts out to the brother Trayvon, man.
Yeah,
because a lot of what's going on is due to that story and this situation, and we still fighting for the man.
Still, and like I said, that same state. You want to put firearms in the hands of teachers who carry those belief systems. And like I said, that stand your ground part is huge. Because in that state, to stand your ground, it simply means that you need to feel, in your view, legitimately threatened. And now you give teachers guns under the premise of students will be carrying them. Or in the event that if a student pulls a gun, you're supposed to protect yourself and the students. So get out of my class. Student walks over, grabs his backpack aggressively.
Oh, man.
Oh, I thought he was reaching for something.
Yeah. Just already in Georgia, there was a guy, teacher that, barricaded his ass in his classroom and was shooting. I don't know what the story
shot the gun off in northern Georgia. Shot the gun off in class, barricaded the doors up. Because he was having a falling down moment where he had just had enough. Like, I mean, I think that D.L. Hughley, comedian, said it best. He said, you don't want to, you got a group of people who say you won't give them a raise, but you'll give them a gun.
And then you have a group of people.
Because they have the whole district that's not even in school.
Yeah, exactly.
They're striking.
And then you have a group of people that can't even work for the most part with our students, aren't culturally relevant, as I said earlier, and have a tough enough time dealing with most of our kids, black kids. I mean, if you go through state to state in America, I mean, black kids are failing. I mean, just in a rate to where, and especially black males, to a rate to where you're like, what are they doing in the classroom? And I think it has to do a lot with classroom, and it has to do a lot with parental support. But the bottom line is, we tend to try to push away the issue to create another issue and think that certain things like this will solve it. We're looking at not giving these people, the teachers, enough pay to where they're equipped to deal with it, enough training to where they're equipped to deal with it. We're not giving cultural relevant classes or work for our teachers to be able to have the ability to deal with our kids in the moments of where they're at. We're not enforcing enough support for not teachers but for parents to be able to cope with their children. And we're doping some of these kids up and saying they have ADHD and passing a baton. For us to even think or suggest that a gun in the hands of a teacher, for them to now be the law, for them to now be judge, jury, and at some particular times executioner, I mean, it just lets you know how we've gone so far from thinking with a straight mind and not looking in the lens of fear or the fact that, well, let's focus on changing how we look at the mental health system. Let's not go to route of dealing with, hey, here's preventive measures, give them the guns. Let's go into how are these kids getting to this point, to this level, to where they're like, I don't care, I want to kill everybody and anything, right? Yeah. Let's go into investing more money and more outreach and more services in the mental health industry.
So something that I thought was interesting, just my own little thought that came up when they talked about the attachment between mass shooters and mental health. And there was another link to mass shooters. They bring up the issue that they had mental health problems prior that went unnoticed or unchecked. But something I found was interesting, in most of the mass shooters of the last decade in the United States of America, primarily Caucasian males, most of them had a link to some white supremacist organization. So my question that popped in my head is that is there a link to white supremacist thought process and mental health? Like, remove the shooting part. Is that something to look? If they started, because what they do, if you're black in America, everything's about connecting the dots and linking things up. So if you're doing something, do you have gang ties to this, links to criminal behavior to this, links to certain kind of parenting and certain kind of people you're around? They're always trying to build a case.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how much information or research is done on the mental health aspect of those who practice white supremacist views. Because if you could link people who have white supremacist views to mental health, you could then link those two together to problematic shooting. Like, I'd be interested if they, like, this may seem a little abstract, but the way they do us, how everything is all in and everything links to criminal behavior and how we can all get caught up for anything because we could potentially be up to no good. I wonder if they, because there's no such thing as a white identity extremist.
But there is such thing as a black
identity extremist. If you say that you link black in any part of the title, you can be linked to a black identity extremist, which would link you to criminal behavior, which could link you to perpetual violence, which could link you, you know what I'm saying? Like those, that's that A to B to C. But I just thought that it was interesting that all of these, so many of these mass shooters are linked to white supremacist groups or some ties in some way, shape, or form. If they start going after them, like they come after us, how many preventive shootings and issues and problems could be thwarted or rerouted because they were already on the list, like we on the list?
Yeah. And that's like, you're going to have white teachers that don't respond well to black students with guns.
And you have a lot of them who are fearful, especially when it comes to males.
Let's look at this.
Yeah.
Trained police officers, gun badge, here to protect and serve, trained.
Yeah.
That's supposed to know every and any situation, have killed unarmed black people.
Fear.
Trained, because we know fear.
Because they were afraid for their life.
Trained with gun badge, all the resources they could possibly have and backup they could possibly have.
Yeah.
Now, frail, white, middle class,
chemistry teachers,
English teacher with 3 kids, Johnny kind of abruptly calls her a bitch in a manner where she feels it was aggressive.
Yeah.
He turns away and she shoots him in the back.
Yeah.
This is like a recipe for disaster, and I do believe some of the schools in the United States have already passed that they're going to arm.
Well,
I mean, if I'm not
I don't
incorrect.
think they legally. I think there are some areas who are welcoming to it. I don't think law wise it's gone in, but something to take in consideration in that Parkland shooting. There were deputies on the scene,
Coward,
and who did not go in because maybe they were fearful for their lives. Now, I'd have been interested to see if the shooter in that situation was black, because they took him into custody. They waited until they got, when they do these things, when it has to do with young white shooters, they're trying their best to apprehend the assailant.
Yeah.
They're doing their best to take him into custody. You could say he had a black jacket on, and they go in guns ablaze. They just had the police shooting where they shot the armed blacks 65 times.
Yeah.
Like when it's one of us, they're coming guns ablazing. So if this is a mentality that goes across the nation, but specifically let's keep it in Florida, where they have so many issues that keep coming up. If you are the parent of a black student in the state of Florida, because it's not going to be a district thing, it's the state. Do you keep your kid in there? Like if all of a sudden they say, okay, starting the school semester of 2022, by the time you get all the legislation, you get all this stuff up to code, all teachers will be trained in basic concealed carry training, which is that little day course where you do the book and do the little class, and you're now all trained to carry a firearm. Think about a situation. Remember the girl a few years back who was kept getting asked to leave the classroom.
Yeah.
And they called a security dude in, and he body slammed her out the desk.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or the situation where two students are sitting there full on brawling and the teacher tries to separate and he gets checked to the floor. How do you think these situations are going to play themselves out?
Man, it's a recipe for disaster. Like, if schools have not seen that inadequately these certain kids have not been the process of us dealing with these kids has not been in a correct manner, shape, form, fashion, and we've struggled with being innovative. We've struggled with trying to hit the nail with some of these students, right? But now we're going to press rewind and say, well, now let's just start this all over again, and what we're going to do is supply you with a gun. Can you imagine that kid that doesn't want to read, that teacher pulls out a gun, say, I need you to read, Sammy, now.
Yeah, well, let's take this. Where do you think this money's going to come from? No, but I'm saying, so you already have failing districts because they're not getting proper funding. Yeah. Like, schools are closing across the country. Kids are getting bused to other schools. You know, ideally, a classroom should have one teacher to about 25 students.
Bro.
But I'm saying, so you said ideally.
I'm not even thinking about the number. It's crazy.
So this is just to wrap your brain around as you hear this. So you should about 25 students roughly to a teacher would be a good situation where you can really get some information.
I would say 1 to 15, but go ahead.
You bump it up. Before, the old average was somewhere around 28 to 30. Probably when you was a kid, just probably about 30 kids in a classroom when you're younger. They have schools now where, since they keep closing, where they have teachers who have 40 some odd kids in their classroom. So think about this. You've got 42 students in a 50-minute classroom. How much teaching are you actually getting to with your resources?
Yes.
So now if you start to say, okay, we need to arm these teachers. We need to go through this training with the budget allotted for our school districts. So now you're going to get less teaching. You're going to get less resources. You're going to get more frustrated, overworked teachers with less resources and tools to teach your students. In an environment that students are going to start feeling there's going to be a degree of anxiety among students because they know their teacher's packing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're sitting across from somebody who you know has a pistol on them, that changes the dynamic of how you interact. Now the thought process of getting a wrong answer or standing up in front of class and you're nervous or any of these things.
Just getting into an altercation.
The idea of going to school will raise the anxiety. And when you're highly anxious, especially as a child, your reaction to things is in a stand your ground state where all it takes is erratic behavior and a child being emotional, who'd have thunk it, where I mean, there's just so many which ways to Sunday that this thing can go wrong.
Florida. Let's get that right.
Yeah.
We started off the story with a story from Florida.
Yeah.
Let's think about Trayvon Martin, whose timely demise, so young, created so much of what a lot of these new movements have been pushed into, as far as looking at the racial divide and how we look at black youth, just black youth in general, young men and women, and what we've come to solve a problem that has to deal with mental health. And we figured that if a police who cowered while the shooting was going on didn't go in because he was in fear, he thought about his kids, thought about his family, what in the moment would that teacher do where they think that they're in imminent danger? And then what will now these kids who do have weapons, now they start bringing their weapons in locker rooms. They start, putting their weapons in cars or friends' cars. You're creating a war zone in a place where they're supposed to get educated. We're basically creating a militarized schools throughout the United States, because you got teachers that will have guns, so you're going to have more police on the campus, right?
Or unless that's the substitute for.
Well, where is it that a child starts to learn? As you talk about anxiety, dude, I'm finna be shitting bricks if I know, Marianne, my 5th grade teacher has a gun.
Well, let's take it a step further. People feel a certain kind of way. There's a certain degree of power that comes with that feeling of having a firearm. So imagine, you're the teacher who's felt almost victimized by your students. They don't listen to you. They don't sit down when you tell them to sit down. They don't, quote unquote, put respect on your name. Now we give you a gun. You don't think that there's a percentage of teachers who are going to decide that they can now impose their will? Like, I told him to sit down 2 times and he didn't.
Pulled out my strap.
Yeah. Or these 2 students got in a fight in class. I kept trying, and it was really one-sided.
Pulled out my strap.
So think about that. You get 2 students who are fighting, and this is clearly one-handed, like one-sided. Somebody is just getting the business in English class. And that teacher keeps repeatedly screaming, get up off him. And you see a little kid getting his nose busted open or his lip busted open, and you keep screaming, get up off him. How you think he's going to get him up off him? Let's be real about this. We have a lot of issues with sexual assault, pedophilia in the classroom.
Bro.
I'm saying. So let's think about this. So let's give a teacher who has been already imposing his quote-unquote power on young girls. There's so many cases of molestation and inappropriate touching and behavior between teachers and students. Now you gonna give that same thought process, because obviously we ain't figured out a way to screen it out in the hiring process.
Not at all.
So these same dudes are still gonna get hired, and even women. Now you give them a firearm on possession. So if you think that they couldn't do what they wanted to do with your son or your daughter with their words. Now you think when you give them an extra tool in the box that they've now known they're unpacking, and that I'm in a position not only that I could affect your grade and your potential future, I got control of your life. Like these are things that I don't think that this group down there is really taking into consideration. You have the kids who came out and protest saying, please don't do this. We don't want this. We're asking for other solutions, and they hit them with the nah, son.
We gonna give a solution, all right?
Yeah. So
Molly Ann and John Andrews is gonna protect you with the gun.
So think about this: when Mr. Jones is hovering over your daughter in history, I need you to stay after class, and he's just walking by, tapping the handle.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these low cut shirts you're wearing. I'm a teacher. Who's gonna believe you?
Because that's been the thing. That's been going on for so long. Yeah, I'm a teacher who's going to believe you.
And I said, this is just so many which ways to wrong. And I would just think about what message is that saying to our kids about this is how we resolve stuff. Like this is how we going to play this. And let's also look at that too. What happens the first teacher involved shooting where there wasn't a firearm involved? What do you think that will do to that school? Because, you have these kids who are trying to bounce back now from the shooting, and a lot of them are traumatized and need a lot of therapy.
Most definitely.
What do you think is going to happen across the board when they find out the first time when homie was reaching into his backpack for his phone or to grab his pen, or hell, maybe he threw a pencil at the teacher and they opened fire on him?
Shot him dead.
I'm saying, how many bodies have to drop before you would then revisit that law? Because I don't think it'd be a one and done.
Yeah.
So how many students got to get smoked in math class by the teacher before then we go back and revisit it?
We are allowing untrained professionals who've been trained, who went to school for years to be teachers, to now all of a sudden to be law.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the idiot who ever thought that would be a good thing, or the idiots who think that's going to be a good thing, a simple solution to a bigger problem. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the people that are probably pushing this are white Republicans, white conservatives.
Mr. 45 is leading this charge.
Mr. 45 talking, and it's just the rhetoric and just the insanity. Because at the end of the day, mass school shootings for whatever reason is not going to stop until you go to the root of the issue, and that's the mental issue, the health issue, right? Yeah. These things need to be addressed. It's not, okay, what are you going to have? Now you're going to have a shootout? That's going to maybe cause more of a death toll. Because now if you have a shootout, if the person's coming in, what is that teacher supposed to do? Stay in the classroom, go find the shooter comes in, the teacher shoots, the shooter shoots, and all people are running trying to get out the way? How does this work?
Let's look at an example of that scenario. Let's keep all things equal of the last several shootings that have happened. If you came to school with the sole intent of opening fire under the premise that nobody else has a gun, you realize that the police are going to get called, and at the end of the day, how this is going to end. And like that last scene of Young Guns in the end. But if you know every classroom there was an armed teacher, think about your approach. That means you got to be in it to win it. That means you need to go, you're spraying door by door by door. You realize after the first threat of you having a gun, any of these doors can potentially open up and open fire on you. That whole dynamic is just war zone. Like, for real. Like, yeah, and that's a good point. What do you do? If you're the teacher, do you just stand in your classroom with a pistol aimed at the doorway, and when it opens up, whoever opens it up gets it? Or do you take it to the hallways and y'all militia go shoot out? Look up,
It doesn't make any sense. You have schools that are underperforming, and you're now going to give teachers that are underperforming guns.
Well, let's look at that too. Most teachers, teaching is their second profession. So let's put that in. Most people who are teachers failed at their first profession, and the degree that they got carried over into teaching. So there's not a whole, like, percentage-wise, most educators didn't grow up saying, I want to grow up and be a teacher one day. It was your communications degree, your English degree, whatever. All you had to do was go back for your 15 units of early childhood education, and you could teach. Yeah. So you have a lot of people who are, this is just, I'm qualified to do this. Not passionate about the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not in love with the craft. Like, this is just something that it pays the bills and it got benefits for their kids if they got them, being a school teacher. So that's all they doing. They show up Monday thinking about Friday. Can't wait for summer vacation. They just as bad as the kids sometimes. And their tolerance for you think your patience runs thin with the 2 kids you got at home. Imagine the 300 that come through their door every day.
And the 300 that come through their door every day that they are mandated to try to teach them something that's going to benefit them in the long run.
Yeah, a bunch of ungrateful, because there are students, every now and then they may get 1 or 2 of their shining stars, but more often than not, if you had a great experience, you come back to your school after you left, and you let that teacher know, I just want to let you know, man, what you did for me my sophomore year, or, man, I'm glad you was there senior year, because as I'm 25 or 30, I get it now. But a lot of that stuff is a thankless job. Yeah. You just get kid after kid writing you little notes, and you seeing, derogatory pictures of you written on desks and all that, and all the other mess that kids do. But there's a lot of people who are fed up in their jobs. Yeah. Thankless jobs, underpaid, underappreciated.
And then really the benefits, we talk about instant gratification, you don't get those until later down in life. And in reality, sometimes you get bypassed because a lot of those students, when they grow up, they forget about the first grade teacher. They forget about the third grade teacher, the 7th and 8th grade teacher. They remember the high school teacher that they had that really pushed them. It's like, well, what about Miss Sandra or what about Johnny? And I get it. Yeah. I get it. Teaching is probably the most underappreciated job aside to parenting. Right? A parent and a teacher, they go hand in hand, that nobody appreciates nothing they do. Nope. Right? From the pay to the accolades to just the being honored in a sense of, it's almost like, I didn't ask to be born. You decided to be a parent. I get that, but damn, when I did a great job, the appreciation value is not there. And then with the teachers, you got those teachers that get the best teacher of the year award. Yeah. But what about those teachers that are not always in the front light of that?
The workhorses on campus.
The workhorses, they're really doing the job that's supposed to be done, but they don't want to be in that kind of, because it's all cliquish anyway, right? They don't want to be a part of that environment. They just want to do what they want to do. This is an important and a very, very, very important issue to reach out to talk about, because the parents have to understand that, one, us having this happen is catastrophic. 2, teachers having that much power is catastrophic. 3, the fact that we're going to this route in America in 2018 because of something that has been relevant for years, mass shooting in this country, that we would refuse to try to look at the in-depthness of how we could ban assault rifles, why the fact we have assault rifles, and how we're so militarized in the fact of, well, if he has a gun, I got to get a bigger gun. And then how's Johnny get all these weapons? We've been screaming this same stuff on the streets. So I applaud the Florida kids, but we've had the same kind of mass shooting in the streets in the black community for decades, and no one has reached that empathy to kind of look at it like, we might need to check it in. It's almost like, well, those guys, that's what they do. They kill each other. No, that's not. That's not it. We need to be more focused on real solutions, mental health being one of the major things to dissect what's going on. Giving freaking teachers or anyone at that matter that's not equipped. If the police ain't equipped to make rational decisions, how the freak you think teachers are going to
let's be? Also take into consideration, this is the same, the school district, this is the same folks who got rid of spanking students because they thought that was wrong. You know, the old days, they used to be able to swat your kid in school. They used to be able to take that ruler across the knuckles.
Yeah.
They used to be able to put hands on your child. And the nation as a whole went by and said that is horrific, that is wrong, that's abuse. But he can't spank your kid with a paddle, but he can get this Glock. Like that's what we're saying is the mentality to backlash a certain behavior. I mean, and I would be interested to see what onus of, okay, so when you buy a gun, it's like when you buy a car, it's registered to you. If I have my car and all of a sudden I'm in here doing this podcast with you, if my car ends up driving through the grocery store, like and the driver is nowhere to be found, I'm the registered owner of that car. They're going to come see me, and I better prove that I, A, didn't drive that car, or B, knew who did.
Yeah.
Like, I am the one who takes responsibility because that car is registered to me.
Yeah.
The same with your gun. When that gun is registered to you, it's a reason why you don't buy guns like you buy potato chips. Like, after you make the purchase, what you do with it is your business. There's a serial number associated with that, which goes through the Department of Justice, which goes to your ID, as well as a bill to prove you live there. Like, when you go to buy a gun, they want your fingerprint, they want your ID, they want a second form of either a registration or a bill or something to prove that this is where you live, like to link this gun directly to you.
Yeah.
It's yours. Who was the registered owner of the firearms used at the school shooting? Because that's
interesting.
And what culpability are they attached to this? Because I think also, if you started saying, if your 14, 15, 16, 17, hell, 18, 19, 20-year-old son took your gun and went on this shooting spree, and you were held responsible because you were the registered owner, I think you start to see a shift on how some of this stuff is taken care of. I think you start seeing more locks on these firearms. I think you start seeing a lot less access that these kids get. Because if your 12-year-old or your 17-year-old goes and shoots up at school and shoots 17 people, guess what? You go into prison right along with him.
I've always thought that there should be some kind of accountability for parents on a lot more things that these kids do.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're the one who had to fill out the paperwork. You're the one that had to put the fingerprint. You're the one that had to show that you were going to be responsible. There's a test you have to take to get I don't know if you own a gun. There's a paperwork to get a gun. And I'm talking about the folks who did it the right way, the legal way.
Yeah.
You're saying that you're accepting responsibility for this piece. Even when you sell it, you have to fill out paperwork, just like when you sell your car, to release responsibility to this gun. You're saying, I sold it to such and such on this day. If anything happens with this gun 5 years from now, it ain't me.
Yep. Yeah.
If this gun was used to shoot 17 people on your watch, how was it gotten? Because there's a cable that's supposed to be used to lock it up. There's a whole lot of steps taken to preserve. If you didn't do that, you should be held just as responsible that if your kid got into something and got poisoned because you didn't lock it up. If you're like if you start getting I don't care if the kid is over 18 or not. If you are the registered owner, you may not get life like they got life for sentencing, but I think there should be some culpability that goes to you because you were the registered owner. I think if more people had to deal with the backlash of those things, more parents, they would be much more mindful of these when they start seeing these pictures. when they start seeing these notes,
Yeah.
when they start hearing these rumors about what their kid might be doing, when they realize I'm gonna go to prison right along with your ass, I think you might get a little more involvement.
And it's almost even a sympathy card for the shooter of Florida, the Florida shooter, latest of the shootings. It's almost kind of like, yeah, the victims are we're watching and paying attention to the victims, and everyone is saluting their advocacy, and I think that's noble. But when black folks was advocating for change with police murders and the henchmen's murdering of unarmed black folk, it was almost like raw thugs and gangsters, rowdy, un-American.
Yeah.
Kaepernick doesn't need. Oh my God, he's disrespecting the flag. But you turn around, Florida kids are saying we need to stop this gun violence. Let's ban certain weapons, and now all they're the monarchs of this new movement, which has pretty much been, if you look at it, the same movement, because killing of people, regardless if they're the police officers doing or it's a white identity extremist doing it, let's call the young white kid who did it what he is, or Latino, whatever he is, but let's call it what it is. You find this different lens and this different idea that America looks at these soft-spoken kids that are now, doing sit-ins in front of the White House, where turn around a few years ago, a lot of blacks were doing this across the nation, and it was, deemed to be rioting, deemed to be these rural, uneducated folks standing up against a system that is doing exactly what the system is supposed to do, which it is. But I look at the tend for America to always represent the good to the bad with white and black, and how these students are being applauded and other folks were being derailed, and the opposition that we got for trying to speak upon these different things that, when you look at it, yeah, it might be unarmed African Americans being shot by police, but there's a bigger problem, and it's the existence of certain guns and the existence of those folks with the guns that now feel they have a power, and this mental health issue that I think goes into even when you look at police officers. I mean, shoot, the trauma that they have to go through, you know what I'm saying, all the time. And then blacks, we're in this consistent mechanism of trauma. We're in this traumatic experience from what we've seen or what we know that we may have to go through. So you deal with all these different things, and folks really in life having to push harder than they've had to push just to make ends meet, right? Just to be able to feel significant in this world. You don't think that's going to create some type of mental health? You don't think that's going to create some type of fucking dysfunction in the ways that we have to constantly have to feel accepted by society, try to gain some type of popularity, try to gain some type of monies to pay these kind of bills? Like what? You see me ripping up about 5 groups of bills that I have to pay. I mean, this shit is crazy, man.
So, but then let's work it, because I think part of it too, I think that mental health is a huge component, but I don't think it's the only one, in the sense of, let's just talk about people's belief system, similar to the teacher when we started. Because her thought process is that, black people of color are just beneath her. So, because we're still talking about Florida, the Jordan Davis shooting.
Okay.
Jordan Davis was the one who was in his car with the music too loud.
Yeah.
And homie pulled up and said, turn the music down.
He actually got some time.
But my point is that dude who shot Jordan Davis was a 47-year-old computer analyst. He wasn't, he wasn't about that life like that. Like he could have very easily been your teachers teaching your kids computer class, high school computer class. He was a 47-year-old middle of the road computer analyst with a gun.
Yeah.
Who deemed that he felt personally disrespected by some teenagers at a gas station who refused to turn their music down, so he opened fire on them. Okay. That's the same dude who will be the high school, the junior year computer teacher. Okay. Same mentality. I think some of it is that I think that the mental health component, that there's a disconnect. Some of it is that there are just some mean, bad people out there.
deranged.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think some of it we lean to disorder or a behavior issue or some kind of psychosis.
And some people are just fucked up.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
I think that there's a percentage of people who are extremely benevolent, who go out of their way for their fellow man, who constantly sees a need about community and reaching out. I think the way that pendulum swings back the other way, there's a group of people who just don't care, who don't value other people, who see them as less than, who don't value their lives.
Yeah.
There's no screening for that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no, I don't know you fucked up till you do something.
Yes.
So do we really want to find out after your high school junior's computer teacher felt disrespected and opened fire on your son or your daughter?
Yeah. Because we're sure finding that
they don't care about gender.
Yeah, because we're sure finding that a lot of these teachers have a problem with keeping their hands to themselves in a way of sexuality and all the things that's going on. I mean, every other day, we talk about mass shooting. Every other day, some teacher's caught up in some scandal, up some kid's skirt, dating some child and having sex with him in the car, getting caught up with him in a motel.
That stuff.
Come on, man.
They just had the teacher. There was the videos going, a little viral stuff over the last couple of weeks about a teacher. There was 2 students fighting in the classroom. And when the teacher opens the door and walks in, he screamed, and then not disrespectfully, like a little girl. Like, I'll show you a video there. He walks in, there's like these 2 kids squaring up, boxing. Door opens up, teacher, throws his arms in the air and gets like in the fetal position.
Wow.
That's who you give a gun to. Like a dude who don't want it. A woman who don't want it. Yeah. Just because you give somebody firearm training on how to point and aim, it doesn't mean you give them heart or courage.
Not at all.
Or what about the first time they think there's a gun and now they take the gun from the teacher?
Woo.
Because if you're real enough to come to school and start shooting, you ain't got no problem with snatching it out the hands of somebody who looks timid.
Yeah.
Or when you pull a gun first, I know you've got one. Or when the kid doesn't even have a gun and just knows that teacher has one and just presses them in the classroom in between classes. Give me your gun.
Yeah. That's going to be...
I got an issue with so-and-so after school. I'm worried. I'm fearful for my life of what might be waiting for me in the parking lot. I know Miss Johnson in room 3 got a gun. Let me just put the rush on her and get hers. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all these dynamics that could play out something real ugly.
You have to have your lesson plan, and you got to make sure you get to the shooting range.
You got to be thinking survival with that gun at all. Think about that. 4 or 5 students in your class looking you up and down,
looking for the gun, thinking all type of stuff.
We could take them.
Yeah.
Like these 4 or 5 students plotting, like we can get her gun off her. We can get it off of him. Then what? You hear about a school shooting. How did they get the gun? They got it off the math teacher. You know what I'm saying?
It's just the way we want to fix problems in this society is just so out of the norm. It's to the point where you just really have to ask yourself and question, like, who is really moving the needle in this situation, because everything that we've broken out, there is not one thing positive. A teacher having a gun does not prevent mass shooting.
No,
it doesn't prevent it. I mean, there's no way you can break down how now, teachers have guns. If a kid is coming through with a assault rifle, they gonna take out who they gonna want to take out.
Well, best case scenario is that a teacher shoots a student in front of a school full of kids before the student can shoot the first person. That's your best case scenario, that a student comes on campus with a gun, brandishes the gun, and a teacher can kill that kid before that kid has a chance to kill anybody else. That's your best case scenario. What do you think that looks like? You know what I'm saying? When Mr. Brown reaches under the desk and is just quicker on the draw than little Timmy. You know what I'm saying? And he gets smoked in front of homeroom. Like, that's going to be...
And this ain't even a laughable subject, dude. But at the end of the day, this is laughable in so many ways, because it's just... We having so many issues in schools.
Yeah.
let alone to bring guns. Like, the issue isn't mass shootings. Mental health, in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? What the issue is teachers being underpaid, not being culturally relevant, not having enough diversity in teaching, being able to focus on some of the extreme behaviors, because the extreme behaviors come from extreme conditions. World is changing. The classroom ratio. I don't believe any teacher. I work with kids. I'll take a group of 15 kids and can work that angle. Now take another 5 on top of that, with another 10 on top of that. Now you're talking to me to make miracles. How do I teach?
In a 50-minute time period. Average class is 50 minutes.
And then when I'm dealing with certain kids that are being passed around, being passed without getting adequate information or being, prepared to go to the next class, but you're telling me to make a miracle. You have all of these other needs that need to be met. I mean, we need to go look at some of these schools that they need to be reinvested. Some of these schools have had the same, freaking, since 1974, some of these schools have had the same curriculum, same books, same facilities. I mean, we have to re-renovate that. I mean,
something with what you're saying.
No guns.
So take everything that you just said that they have to get done with that. They still, in order to keep their job, have to be on pace to get to a certain point every semester. So, like, if your kid goes to school, you've learned this if you got kids, once they get over middle school. Elementary school is a little different. But middle school through high school, they don't get through the book. Like the big old textbook, they don't get to the last page, typically. They just have so far that the teacher has to cover so much curriculum. There's a certain pace to keep. So, in order to keep your job, you have to get through a certain amount of curriculum. How much time do you have for this other stuff? Like, because you're like, I'm worried about little Tony over there. Michelle seemed a little sketchy. Yeah. But if I don't stay on pace, I'm the one who's going to lose my job at the end of this year. So as much as I want to try to give that extra time, a little extra help, I'm a chapter behind right now. So we need to fly through these courses and get these tests done. I hope he makes it on the back end. I hope somebody helps her out. I'll send a message to the guidance counselor. Hopefully somebody can do something with her, but I can't be on that. I just think that we see too often in this fearful society that we live in. Fearful. Everything that I hear, the response to is that, fearful for my life. I just want to get home to my family. I'm scared. I was scared. Okay. If you're talking about people who are 10, 15, 20-year vets on the force who've seen so much are telling me that they're fearful of a situation, you're going to tell me that somebody who's 3 years on the job as an English teacher is supposed to just balls of steel? That is supposed to just be Charles Bronson in the clutch. It's supposed to be Jason Statham on the fly. It's supposed to be Action Jackson in the English classroom. Nah, son. It's going to be, we have a bunch of people who are showing who they are in the sense of their views on how they feel about everybody. Yeah. And, when you get a scenario like that, it's going to be okay when Muhammad gets shot, when he says that I felt fearful and he was Muslim. Yeah. So we might let that slide. Or when Jamal gets shot, black dude, he seemed aggressive. Well, black folks we can let that slide. Mm-hmm. When Manuel gets shot, you know what I'm saying? We can let this. What's the first time Becky gets capped? Man. No, let's be for real. The first time the black math teacher shoots the white teenage girl in the chest during English.
That's going to be interesting.
What's the first time where the Muslim teacher shoots the white lacrosse player? Because that's who the shooters are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not Jamal, and it's not Muhammad, and it's not Manuel. It's Jacob. Yeah. So the first time when it's the Muslim teacher who comes out and is the shooter, is he the hero? Man. When the black math teacher comes out and puts 2 in his chest, is he the one that saved the school? Man. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of angles that I don't think folks are really thinking about.
I think they probably are, but I don't think they care. I mean, they don't necessarily care, because there's nothing that's going to save our streets or make them safer.
You know what? Something that just popped in my head. I want to know who gets the account. Because if you're talking about putting guns in all the schools for all the teachers in the state of Florida, what gun manufacturer gets the account? Because in America, you always follow the money.
Oh, it's always about that.
And I would be real interested to see if all of a sudden Remington is the gun for schools.
Yeah.
For every school district in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
All teachers are supplied by Glock. Springfield is got you covered. I'd be real interested to follow the money and see who's on deck, because that's $1 billion deal right there.
Nothing here says safe to me.
It says America, though. It says America.
It says
guns, money, and reckless behavior. That's all
what
America.
It does say to me, it says profit.
Yeah.
It does say to me, igniting more fear. It does say to me, targets. Yes. You know, it does say to me, now this is the way we can now police these unruly black students. This is a way that we can now
with a white problem.
Yes, with a white problem, because it's always
white shooters.
It's always happened like that,
yeah,
right?
It's black people are doing mass shooting.
All of a sudden, we want to focus on drug rehabilitation when the white folks is all strung out, opiumed out, right?
Yeah.
But when the blacks was on crack,
that
you put the drugs there.
They're criminals.
They're criminals, thugs. We gotta now, as the president again has said, we need to have a death penalty for the drug dealers.
Yeah.
That's whole nother scenario. But this is just the American way and how they push agendas. Simultaneously, you look at things going on from Vegas to Florida. You never heard these conversations when the South Carolina shooting happened, when 9 blacks got killed in cold blood by a racist that admitted what they wanted to do. I wanted to start a race war. I did this on purpose. There was no other ways. I chose black victims. You didn't hear nothing about, well, let's get the reverends and the pastors with guns. Let's pack them out. Didn't hear nothing about that. It was just kind of like, okay, the bigger story that you heard wasn't even about the victims, as you've heard in Florida. It was about the fact that the police let Dylan Roof go to Burger King. Yeah. I mean, that was a major piece of the story. It was never about what happened, why it happened. None of these things even came out. It was just the simple fact that, it was another shooting, and, they kind of brushed that, and the Negroes forgave, and we're not going to discuss anything about guns in our community. And we don't even really talk about that as a mass shooting as much as we do all the other shootings.
Yeah, because, the fact is, if you're talking about, the gun ban, you could go all the way back to Aurora, with the Batman shooting, when homie chained up the doors and then started at the top of the stairs and opened fire. When everybody ran down to the exit, it was chained shut, so they had to run back up towards where he was shooting.
And he's still living.
Yeah.
In a facility.
Yeah. There's just so much stuff going on.
That stuff is crazy.
One thing, like I said, I'll do my own personal research. I'll be interested to see, they're passing that, what gun manufacturer is up on deck, and what happens if that gets passed. What councilman, what governor, who retires early? Because if that $1 billion business deal goes through, where Glock is now the manufacturer of all firearms, then all of a sudden, homie's I'm calling it a day, because it was $1 billion deal, and I got my 10%.
They got the control.
I'm out. But I think these are things that we have to be real about, that we have to look at all angles, that we have to feel like we have to get involved, even if it doesn't feel like it's our fight, and voice our opinion, because when they get these things passed in major states, it's a matter of time before they get the smaller states, and then once you get a majority, then it's something that becomes standard. So you may think, I don't even live over there, or I've got grown kids, I'm not even worried about what happens in high school. Yeah, but here's the thing, if you got grown kids, you probably got grandkids. You know what I'm saying? You got nieces and nephews. This will create the change of your community. Maybe you don't, but maybe your sister's a teacher. Think about how that dynamic changes. Like there's a reason that we need to be engaged, that we need to be involved, that we need to be aware, and we definitely need to say something.
Man.
I'm Jermaine Morris here with Barry Accius. Where can folks find you online for more riveting conversation like this?
Barry Accius on Facebook, Instagram at Team Boy, and Barry Accius on Twitter.
I'm Jermaine Morris on Facebook. Everything else is at J Morris CEO. It's been a Say Something podcast here with Barry Accius.
Yes, sir.
And until next show, we will holla at you later.
Indeed.